Alright guys, so I've put together this video to help talk through some of the problems that you might be having issues with on the review. I'm going to go through all of the problems and you can fast forward over the ones that you got correct and just study the ones that you missed and then the guidance didn't help you. So number one, it's talking about slope. You will have a formula chart on the test and on that formula chart there is the formula for slope. So on this problem, we are given 2 points that we want to find the slope of. So that's when you do y minus y over x minus x. And in my class, I taught you guys how to do this in the calculator. So we're going to do the alpha y equals enter. And then we're going to do y minus y. It doesn't matter which one you start with. So I'm a creature of habit, and I'm going to start with the second one. So I'm going to do 17 minus. My first y value is a negative 11. So negative 11. I'm going to go to the denominator and do x minus x. Since I did the 17 first, I have to do my negative 9 first. So negative 9 minus, and then my first x value was a 5. And then I'm going to hit enter and let the calculator do all of the math for me and simplify it to the smallest fraction if there is a fraction. And I get a negative 2. So I know my answer should be negative 2. Actually, let's just do a pin. Sorry. Negative 2 would be our answer. Okay, number 2, we're talking about standard form, so that's ax plus by equals c. We still want to find the slope. In this form, we cannot find slope. We have to put it into the form y equals mx plus b. Now, you guys have gotten a lot of practice over the last 2 weeks of putting equations in this form, so this shouldn't be too unfamiliar to you. So to get this y by itself, remember y is staying there. Nothing's going to happen to that y. So first I want to move what's furthest away, that 5x. Since it's positive, I want to subtract the 5x from both sides. So here on the left, they cancel. This negative 12y is still on the left side. And then can I subtract a negative 5x from a 24? No, one has an x and one doesn't. So I just bring all of that down here. 24 minus 5x. Okay, I'm not done yet because this y is still not all by itself. I have this negative 12 in front of it. A lot of you will want to say plus 12 because you see this negative sign, but it's what sign is between the number and the letter. There's not a sign, so that means multiply. So to undo multiply, we are going to divide by 12. Sorry, negative 12. Remember, when you divide, that happens to everything. So here on the left, those cancel, and we're left with just our y. 24 divided by negative 12 gives us a negative 2. Negative 5 divided by negative 12. Now, 12 does not go into 5, and it does not reduce, but negative divided by negative will change that to a positive. So we have a positive 5 over 12x. Then notice our slope is the number attached to the x. So the number attached to our x is this 5 over 12. So 5 over 12 would be our answer. Number 3, what is the rate of change? So we've talked about this. Rate of change, it just means slope. So we're looking for the slope. So once again, I'm going to get out my calculator. And I'm just going to pick 2 points over here. Again, creature of habit, I like to pick the first 2 points, especially using my calculator. It doesn't really matter, positive, negatives, decimals or not. So alpha y equals enter. I'm going to do my second y, so 300, minus my first y, 325. Then in the denominator, that second x, 1, minus that first x, 0.5. Again, I'm going to hit enter and let the calculator do all of the math for me. I get negative 50. So the answer to this problem is negative 50. Number 4, domain and range. This is something that you guys probably have forgotten. It might sound familiar, but we're not quite sure what it means. Domain is going to be the x values of your graph, and the range is going to be the y values of your graph. So on here, we're looking for domain. So looking at my answer choices, I know I can eliminate this one because it's talking about a y. Okay, here this says that my x is restricted from a -3 to a +2. So that means I'm not going to have any x values to the left of this -3 or any x values to the right of this +2. You have to pay attention to the ends of your graphs. These arrows mean it's going to keep going. And as it's going up, it's moving out. That wasn't a very good job of showing you moving out. It's hard with the mouse. Okay, but it's going to be moving outward. So this is going to reach before -3, and this side will reach after +2. It's going to keep going and going and going and going. So it's not restricted. Here, again, they're giving us restrictions. We're not restricted because of those arrows. We're going to keep going. So it's all real numbers. It's going to hit every x value. Okay, we want to know the value that makes this equation true. So this is where we have to get this in by itself. Okay, so first, before we can do anything, we have to get rid of parentheses by doing our distribution. So we're going to do 4 times 0.5. And you guys can pull your calculators out if you need to and do this on there. But 4 times 0.5 is going to be a +2. So this turns into 2n. Minus, and then 4 times 3. Again, if you need to use your calculator, go ahead. That gives me 12 equals. Then again, I have parentheses over here, so I need to get rid of those parentheses. On this side, I'm not just distributing that 0.25, I'm also distributing the negative in front of it. So negative 0.25 times 12, again, if you need to use your calculator, go ahead. It'll give you -3. And then negative 0.25 times this -8 turns this into a positive. And then 0.25 times 8 gives you a 2n. Okay, so that's just getting rid of the parentheses. Now I notice on this right side, I have n's on the same side of the equal sign. So I can combine those. So I'm going to do that. So I have 2n minus 12 equals, and then n plus 2n. Remember, there's really a 1 there. So we get 3n. And then we bring down -3. I'm so sorry, my handwriting is so bad. I'm using my mouse to write. It's difficult. Okay, so now I have an n on both sides of the equal sign, so I want to get them on the same side. Now in my class, I told you guys to always move the smallest one because it'll keep you positive the longest. So I'm going to go ahead and move this 2n by subtracting it. So on the left, they cancel, and we have a -12. Then on the right, 3n minus 2n gives me a 1n, or just n. And I bring down my -3. And then my final step, I want to get n completely by itself, so I'm going to add my 3 to both sides. Over here, they cancel. -12 plus 3. So signs are opposite, so we really subtract, which would give us a 9. And then we keep the sign of the bigger number, so negative. But again, if you need to use your calculator to check that, you can. So n is equal to -9. What is the equation and slope-intercept of the line that passes through these 2 points? So the first thing we need to do is find our slope. Okay? Because let's remind ourselves, slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. Okay, so I'm going to go and I'm going to find my slope. So I'm going to do alpha y equals, enter. Y minus y, so -16 minus 47. Then on the bottom, x minus x, 2 minus -4. That gives me -21/2. So I know I can get rid of this one, and I know I can get rid of this one. Then I have to find my b value. So I'm just going to plug in -4 for x and 47 for y, and I know my slope already. So y equals, so 47 equals m, which I know is -21/2.